This news story really kind of hit me like a brick wall today when I read it, because it's not often you read something like this out of Australia. Honestly, it's not even that common you read something like this out of America. And I'm referring to yesterday, 2 police officers were killed in a shooting in Australia, and the suspect is actually still on the run. I mean, okay, this type of thing obviously happens much more often here in America. There's way more people and way more guns. But still, 2 police officers being killed and then getting away, even for just a couple days, almost unheard of. And first and foremost, of course, my sincerest condolences to the family and to the victims, the 2 innocent police officers who were just trying to help protect their community, have now passed away in doing so. So they're heroes for that. Their names are Neil Thompson and Vadim D. Wart. This also happens to come, well, I was going to say on the heels of, but it's the opposite way. I just didn't hear about this until just now, but there was also a horrific shooting here in America. Just horrific. At an elementary school. Yet again. I guess to get a quick overview about this story, I'm going to react to this video right here by News Australia, of course.
This is the man suspected of shooting and killing courts and police.
Sorry.
This is the man suspected of shooting and killing 2 police officers in Victoria.
So that's him.
His name is Desmond Christopher Philby, also known as Desi Freeman. On the morning of August 26, 10 Victoria police officers arrived at Freeman's
10
property in Paulpunka to enforce a firearms prohibition order.
Oh, wow. Enforce a firearms prohibition order.
Freeman lived in a converted bus with his wife and children. He was known for anti-government views, legal disputes, and protests.
Wow, this is really reminiscent on a smaller scale of maybe, I mean, I assume some of you know about Waco in Texas. Huge police shootout that happened here in America a long time ago. It's called the Waco Siege. It has some parallels to this, just with being, they were serving, you know, they had illegal weapons on the property. Officers went in, a gun battle ensued. Anyway, this is a smaller scale.
Disputes and protests. As officers moved in, it's alleged that he opened fire. 2 officers were killed. Detective Leading Senior Constable Neil Thompson and Senior Constable Varding Duvart.
Rest in peace.
Police say he then fled into the bush, potentially taking the officer's service pistol.
He took their pistols. How did the other 8 officers... Man, this is unbelievable. How did he get away? I mean, the bush, look at the bush, it's so thick. And they're still looking for him. What a bastard.
Pistols with him. Roads were closed, Paulpunka Primary School went into lockdown, and residents were urged to stay inside. Specialist police units, helicopters, and search dogs immediately began searching the area. Authorities warned that Freeman was heavily armed, an expert in the local terrain.
And of course, that's another question I have is, where did he get... I mean, I know guns aren't totally outlawed in Australia, so I guess he had, well... Okay, he had a warrant out for his arrest because he illegally had guns. What kind of guns were they, I guess, is what I'm wondering. Like, you know, it's just interesting. Guns are not nearly as prolific in Australia, and illegal guns, as they are here in America.
Freeman was heavily armed, an expert in the local terrain, and extremely dangerous.
I can assure everyone that we are pouring every resource into this search for this person. We must find him.
Freeman has a history of extremist views. He calls himself a sovereign citizen, rejects the authority of courts and police, and has previously described officers as Nazis and terrorist thugs.
It's full-out war, and they are the instigators of it.
In 2020, he was fined and banned from driving.
So he's actually been on TV or featured in something. Sovereign citizen, that's a concept. It's actually kind of popular here in America. Like, I wouldn't say popular, but, you know, it's a thing. There's definitely a movement of those people. You know,
thugs.
Kind of anarchist type people.
It's full-out war, And they are the instigators of it.
In 2020, he was fined and banned from driving after speeding, refusing a drug test, and filming police as he drove away.
I arrest you for acting impressively and when interested and perverting the course of justice.
In 2018, he appeared.
I'm sort of curious about his filming of the police. They said he was speeding, he refused an alcohol thing, which I know in Australia you don't have to have any type of probable cause or reasonable suspicion to, it's mandatory, you know. You can just say, the cop can just say, take the test. And he refused, but then he filmed them. Is that relevant? Obviously, driving away is relevant, but filming? I don't know.
And perverting the course of justice.
In 2018,
I'm just really curious about that. You know, that's like, I mean, it's kind of a big deal, whether or not you're allowed to film police. Yes, you are allowed to film police officers performing their duties in public spaces in Australia. You must not hinder their work or create a risk of harm. That's very similar to America. So, okay. I don't think the filming was relevant.
on a current affair, saying his family was being harassed by neighbours.
That day, Desi Freeman seemed genuine. He seemed genuinely upset. A man protecting and defending his family. Well, that was the appearance. But I do recall that day, he seemed very obsessive. The sort of man who would talk at you and not to you.
Police say Freeman acted alone and that his wife and children were not involved. Political leaders have paid tribute to the officers who died. The case has also renewed concern about the threat of armed extremists in rural Australia.
Wow. Upon arrival at the property, the 10 officers began searching an abandoned bus, which is what they said he lived on the property. They were then ambushed and subject to heavy gunfire, killing 2 officers and wounding a 3rd. The wounded officer, shot in the lower body, was airlifted to hospital. Stable condition. The gunman escaped the scene alone, allegedly taking the sidearms of the 2 officers. What an unbelievable event. I'm really just wondering, and I don't want to in any way be disrespectful, but it's just how could he have done that and then managed to take their sidearms without being shot? I guess the police were spread out on the property. Probably a pretty big property. They're spread out. Maybe just these 3 were on the bus. That's got to be what it was. God, this is very tragic. This is very difficult to read, to be honest. Local residents were advised to stay indoors while the suspect was still at large. And he is still at large. I can't believe that. And Pora Punka Primary School is placed under lockdown. Yes, okay. Wet, cold, and windy conditions are making the search harder. Well, I'm curious about where this place is. Pora Punka, exactly. Whoa. Here in Victoria, northeast of Melbourne, right between Canberra and Melbourne. I wonder what the population is. 1,024, which almost in some ways makes it even more devastating, you know, because in a small town like that, it's very tight-knit, everybody knows each other, and the ramifications of this will be ringing for a long time there. Anyway, sorry for the depressing video. What can I say? I don't know. I like to stay up to date on everything happening in Australia and this horrible... Oh, you know what? There was one more thing I was going to look at. Albanese made a statement I saw on Twitter. All Australians are mourning with the families, loved ones, and colleagues of the 2 Victoria police officers who tragically lost their lives in the line of duty. Our nation's condolences are with everyone whose world has been shattered by this horrific shooting. While we can only begin to imagine their grief, our hearts go out to all who are hurting. Today's terrible loss reminds us of the risks police take each day to protect us and of the gratitude we owe them for their service. That's true. I mean, to be frank, a lot of people do forget that, you know, especially here in America. It feels like while there are some terrible police officers, there's also some amazing ones. I'd say, I mean, the majority of them are definitely out there just trying to help the community and protect people. So, rest in peace. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.